Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of the Monte and Wolf Show. dGon here, alongside Wolf, to break down week 12. I think it's week 12, the beginning of round number 4. As we didn't have too many intense matches, but one of the most intense matches, it was GenG versus T1. That was the marquee match. We did also have B&K Fearx versus Bro, stopping my bros in heartbreaking fashion. I wasn't even heartbreaking, it was disappointing. The DN Automotive Freaks are now the 4th team eliminated from Worlds contention behind the 2 teams in the LPL that got eliminated last split, which was RNG and OMG. And over in the LCP, Chiefs have been eliminated as well. We'll cover all of that today. Wolf, how are you doing, brother?
I'm pretty good. It was a pretty boring week of LCK. Even the T1 GenG series was like 3 one-sided games. So hoping for playoffs to come a little faster. Kind of hoping that one speeds up a little bit. We do have, obviously, with this round robin, 3 matchups of the big games. So we will also have those, one more time, those big matches. Hopefully they'll deliver a second time, or the third time around they'll deliver is really what I'm saying. Because they will not be delivering a second time in regards to like delivering this time. T1 GenG, it did not.
So next round robin happens really quick. But like the round robins happen quick. I was looking at the schedule. We have a telecom war again next week, just right off the jump. And I think because the last telecom war, week 11, in the same spot on Wednesday, it felt so one-sided and so kind of like just procedural. Like, we got to play this match. We have to go beat KT. KT's like, we have to go play T1. We have to go lose against T1. That it's kind of happening fast, which is leading us to a little bit of format talk. Just a little bit, Wolf. We don't have to get too deep into it. But how do you feel like this 2-group triple round robin thing is playing out now that we're halfway through?
So, I mean, there's a lot of things to discuss. Let's talk about, because I don't want to get into viewership data and all that stuff. I know that's been broken down pretty hardcore on the Korean side. If you're in the Legend group, because you encounter T1, period, like you encounter T1, like your viewership is way higher than if you're in the Rise group. So that's a problem for Rise group teams. They're not super happy with that, I imagine. But beyond that, like there's 3 teams that are really hurting right now. I would say in terms of reputation, in terms of like where they could otherwise stand if we just took the line away and then left things the way they were. And obviously they're Nongshim, KT, and D plus Kia, right? Like D plus Kia was 1 game away from being in the Legend group, didn't get it, doesn't get the viewership, etc., but also now is kind of locked into Rise when they're in poor form. And like that can happen to any team for over a period of like 3 to 4 weeks. Like we have seen this before. Like we saw D plus was super good earlier in the year, right? And then now they're locked in this group when they're having shot calling problems, they're having coordination problems, they're having their top side look completely out of sorts. Like they're just having bad games right now, which is weird because again, at the beginning of the year, they look so much better, right? So D plus just looks really bad and is kind of sometimes getting blasted by like B&K, which is just not great for the org, especially because right before the split, they got all these new sponsors like Teeny Ping and stuff, and they've had like all these different jerseys cycling. Like they had the Kia Tigers jersey, the Teeny Ping's jersey right now, and like this could be D Plus's time to like surge and like in the past, D Plus have, in my opinion, looked better when they play against the top teams and have taken games off of GenG, T1, Hanwha, but they don't get to touch those teams they're allowed to, and then they're like stuck in this Rise group where because they're in poor form right now, like it's like, oh man, this team is way better than everyone else, right? That's what the standings say, and then the gameplay says otherwise. And then obviously on the side of Nongshim and KT, you're in the Legend group, you have the Legend stamp, you have the Twitter check mark. Remember in the old days you got to be verified and it meant you were important somehow. You'd be like, why does that guy have 500 followers have a check mark? That's kind of how it feels like with Nongshim and KT right now. Like, why does this team have 0 wins in the Legend group? Why they're supposedly all of them are legends, except apparently only 2 of them and a half, sort of, with Hanwha are legendary, and the rest of them are Hanwha's bad games or Nongshim who just seem completely out of sorts, or KT or darn, they're trying, dGon, but it's really just not working out. The drafting is leaving a lot to be desired. And if you're KT or Nongshim, you're like, man, it would be nice if I could dip my hands into that Rise group and get a few freebie wins, feel a little bit better about some of our games. We can give our fans something to clap about. Because when you see the KT and Nongshim fans in the arena, they still show up, obviously. It's not like they're like, oh, man, it's going to be a tough one. I won't be there. But they're there, and they just look depressed and crushed the whole time. But I'm sure the format in the back of their mind is just telling them, like, don't worry, you're a legend team, so it's okay. Like, it's harder on this side. It just doesn't feel great for them at all right now.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you more if D+ were more dominant in terms of their games, right? They are in bad form, so wouldn't playing easier opponents give you a better opportunity to get into good form? Like, a good draft doesn't matter. I guess, no, that's not true. That's not true. I guess if you are drafting in a vacuum, it doesn't matter who you're playing. But when you are drafting against Rise group teams compared to Legend group teams, you should be able to draft anything you want. And so with the drafts kind of being sus and kind of whiffing a little bit, I feel like they're at where they belong based off of the earlier matches. I mean, right now you could point to KT and Nongshim maybe being more deserving of being a Rise group team, but if you look at the standings of the Rise group squads, if we just counted rounds 3-4 so far, you've got 3 teams that are 4-2. B&K FearX, Bro, and D+ Kia are all 4-2. And then DRX, I think, is 2-4. Yeah, and then 1 win there for the DN Automotive Freaks. Something like that. And
yes, that's all correct. That's all accurate.
And so if that's the case, then it feels like what you're doing is correct. The way this is set up is correct. The only way D+ Kia would have a true gripe about where they're at is if they were 6-0. If they were 6-0, they took care of business, even 5-1, because we know that the B&K FearX D+ Kia matches are always bangers and close, and that's the one that where the storybook win game 1, lose a heartbreaker by the way. 2. Yeah. That was also a good pred there.
Remember when I said it was going to be hard to pred that one last week on this show, and then apparently for everyone else it was really hard to see the lines on it. But anyway,
yeah. Hey man, I picked DNF, so I agree. Yeah, we both had our one, but I just think that they are where they're at. They belong there. I think the bigger gripe is for KT and Nongshim, who just look so out of depth. Like, I can't believe that those teams got wins against some of the top 3 teams earlier in the year. It just blows my mind because they show up and they get destroyed, and you can kind of see it on their faces before the game starts, except Cuz. Cuz is the only one who looks the same, has that little grin. But other than that, it's just like, it feels tough. It feels like they know what's about to happen
in my mind.
They play each other.
In my mind, like the level up that we've seen from T1 and GenG is kind of insane. Like they've both been playing Great League Legends all year, but they've suddenly, like, after they got over their EWC travel woes or whatever, which weren't even necessarily like actually that big of a deal, but like it was as soon as that first week was over that we saw them like explode into like they're playing even better than we could have imagined. And then it became like T1 and GenG is an unplayable matchup even for T1 and GenG. Like we saw that T1 game against GenG in game 1. It's like, oh, if T1 have a lead like that with this comp, like even GenG can't play the game. It's just not possible, right?
And then GenG did it back to them in game 2. Yeah,
exactly. So like that's really rough for poor Nongshim and KT, who haven't had the same level up and are still both like I do think both Nongshim and KT have strong identity, which can be a good or bad thing, right? But BDD Cuz and playing through BDD Clutch is KT's thing. And just letting Perfect like be on the side, and hopefully he doesn't int or get focus like that, yeah, we can play like that. Except now every team focus is perfect and like, KT can't play anymore. But on Nongshim's side, they're like, oh, we're a little bit of a funny team where Lehens roams a lot, and you never know what's gonna happen. Like, is Lehens in that bush? And we don't really have an 80 carry, but it's okay because Lehens is just a second jungler because Jiu and Trigger are not really going to make the big plays until maybe later on where they just follow up. But we can play globals and we'll just play Galio and Shen and it'll work out. And then the teams are just better. Like now there's so many teams playing globals. It's not just Nongshim anymore. So Nongshim are kind of like, we've got this idea where we can go fast around the map. And now every team is doing that. And every team knows that Nongshim does that. And like half the time they just ban Shen like in the first phase because they're like, I don't like it when the Hens does that. So he's not going to do that. We're not going to allow it. So it's very predictable. Whereas if you try to figure out the style of GenG and T1, it's a lot harder to say, they only do this one thing. Although T1 does keep getting Nocturne, Orianna, Jhin, Bard. Like, they don't only do that one thing, but they do that one thing really well. So stop letting them have it, Legend Group teams. What are you doing? But I think that's the problem with Nongshim and KT is that they haven't been able to draft insanely strong comps like T1 and GenG have. Their flexibility isn't as high. And so as a result, the two teams that are in incredible form right now just kind of look at them and say, well, yeah, that draft is like a 6 out of 10, but we hit the 9 out of 10 every time at worst case scenario and just outplay them in game. The early game is better. The laning phase is better. And perfect exists if you're KT. So unless they can fix that, like I just don't see them getting back into things. And Geo and Trigger, like neither Trigger's performances like came through and fixed the problem, nor did Geo coming back make me feel like he really has improved greatly. They just have a serious issue there, and I don't know how they're going to solve it. Because on the other side you have fucking Viper, Gumayushi, and Ruler. And even Duckdom.
Who's been playing one better for KT. Yeah. We need to follow along. A follow along segment. Wolf, I need you to open a browser. If you're at home at your PC, open a browser. I need you to go to the match history of Nongshim Red Force.
Okay.
Come on, follow along, everyone.
All right. I'll play along. I'll play a little dGon game. All right. Like, it sounds fun. I'm opening it up.
All right, let's get in there. All right, scroll past. Okay, lost to T1.
It's all red. As I mentioned earlier, it's all red. There's not a single win in here, dGon.
It's all red, yeah. But do you have the multi round match history? Because it's all red in round 3 and 5. Oh, what about Road to MSI? Are really cool.
Oh, let me click on that one. Oh, it's all red over there too.
Oh, it's all red. That's right.
Yeah.
It was an 0-3. Okay. What about let's go back to the first round, right? They did make it in the top half of the league. Oh, no. Okay. They lost to D plus Kia. That's right. That's what led to the tiebreaker. Their last win was May 30th, 3 months ago, against T1. How did they beat T1? How is that the win?
Oh, wow. Hold on. Let me take a look at that.
Like, it's just mind-blowing that this team hasn't won in almost 3 months. Sorry, it was the end of May, beginning of June. And also, the last team they did beat, the quality of the win was T1.
Wow.
But now it looks like they wouldn't be able to beat their challengers team.
Yeah, this was T1 playing like Faker on Akali and... Wow. Okay. Yeah. I kind of remember this game. That was when Jiu got 10 kills, and people were like, "Is Jiu back?" I do sort of remember this. Yeah. No. It was a fun little game we played there. It is like I knew Nongshim had won for a while, and I mentioned it on one of the casts I did this week. But May was like not quite as far back as I had in mind.
Really?
But I guess it makes sense because like they didn't win at Road to MSI.
Correct.
They didn't go to EWC.
No.
And then they came to the Legend Group, but they haven't won a single game, by the way. It's not we're talking about like they have not killed a Nexus. Okay, they haven't killed a Nexus.
Haven't killed a Nexus in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 games. And they're on a what is it? Seven series loss streak, 8 series loss streak. 1, 2, 3. I can't remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're on a 6 series loss streak from this round, and then road to MSI is 7. And then the last match of round 1 and 2 is 8. They're on an 8 series loss streak. It's just not good.
If you guys want to play like the game a little bit further, you can either do it in your head and be like, well, have KT beaten anybody? And then realize like, well, Notion was all red, so they would have also lost to the team that they faced because we had a full round robin of KT. So KT have only beaten Notion, and they won 2-0, and have since otherwise gone 0-2 against Hanwha, 0-2 against GenG, 0-2 against Hanwha again, and then 0-2 against GenG again. So, you know, it's funny because we did love to ask this question. Like a few times we had to be like, all right, I think we've asked this question enough. We did, but he loved to say, like, would you rather be 5th place in the Rise group, or first place in the Rise group, or 5th place in the Legend group? And it turns out you don't want to be either. You don't want to be at the bottom of the Legend group, and you don't want to be at the top of the Rise group. Apparently, it's you want to be T1, GenG, or Hanwha, so you might want to make some phone calls about how much budget you have for 2026 so that you can be in the top 3, maybe top 4. Maybe we could move it to top 4 next year.
Yeah.
God, dGon, it's not great. Like, when we started to really look at these numbers, I'm like, it's really not great.
It's not, but I think it shows, one, you don't want to be the underdog mentality all the time. Like, I think sometimes you need to develop we are better than you, right? Like, I think you can play the underdog mentality and catch a couple of wins against a T1 and maybe a KT if they don't expect it. But since you are clearly the bottom of the group, you have to beat KT. You have to get that nasty edge. And the same thing goes for D plus Kia. You are better than the bros on paper. You are better than BNK Fear X. Even though those series are close, you win those. And it just feels like they're losing that killer mentality edge that's necessary to achieve more than what they're capable of, right? I just want to see some fire. I want to see some coordinated gameplay right now that's outside of just Lahen's doing his roaming thing, or outside of let's sit and scale and hopefully Showmaker or aiming will carry us, right? That seems to be the identity of those two teams when we've seen much more comprehensive identities earlier in the year. And a situation where you have time, you got multiple rounds, you're already qualified for play-ins. The teams that got a sweat are BNK Fear X, are DRX, are the bros. You have time to figure these things out. And I wish that they would, and it doesn't feel like they are. Anyways, the other topic about the format was that people have said, like we've got some bad games or whatever. In my head, if we were just a round robin, we'd have the same things. We'd have the same kind of, oh man, today's a GenG versus, I don't know, DNF day. Oof. Like, that's going to be tough. Like, I think I do like the idea where we have one Legend group match and one Rise group match, and there's a certain level of quality of Legend group match where we get excited about. That'd be if T1, GenG, and Hanwha play each other. And then with the Rise groups, they're all closer. We showed that stat on the pre-show. It's 35-minute average game time for Rise group matches. It's 31 for Legend group matches. And that 35 minutes means it's more competitive. It doesn't mean it's higher quality, but it means it's more equal and entertaining on like, wow, these guys are learning how to walk right before our eyes, but we're seeing a lot of crawling and a lot of falling and a lot of rolling on top of each other. Like their motor functions aren't quite working. And I find that at least entertaining. It is entertaining.
I find it entertaining as well. A lot of our fans are pretty hardcore, especially obviously the people who watch the show. They're the intelligent, smart ones, right?
Yes.
Who love
cheers.
the game at the highest level. Yes. Cheers to you. With my Yakuza 8 coffee mug. But the thing about the Rise group for a lot of those fans, for LCK fans, is that they know, I don't have the Last Free Nation mug yet.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to distract you. Get yours over at lastfreenation.shop.
I don't know why I don't have mine yet. Anyway, I'll talk to production about that. Anyways, or I'm just gonna buy one myself. Anyways, so Rise Group games are exciting and longer, and like they often come down to like a late game Elder flip or Soul flip or Baron flip. And the cool thing about it as a commentator is that you don't know who's going to win until the very end. Like in a lot of these games, you really don't know. Whereas in Legend, you're like, well, it's about 8 minutes in, and I'm 100% sure that I know who's going to win this game most of the time. Sometimes it goes until like 12 minutes, and you're like, not sure, but it's like somewhere between 8 and 12 minutes. You're like, yep, it seems pretty clear because we have a good idea about what the drafts do, who has a lead, who has the advantage in the lane that matters, or, did like Rakan catch Guma on his Lucian? You're like, they were winning, but it's 100% over now, and that's the end of it. So with Rise, though, as you commentate as an analyst, you're kind of like, how, well, it should be like this, but like, as we've seen in these last two team fights, it's like not like that for these two teams. And you'd be like, this comp should win these fights because they have prio and they have control, and then somebody just goes in by themselves and dies, and you're like, it's kind of like, they're ahead now. I'm like, we'll see what happens next. And I think a lot of people in Twitch chat like love it because they're like, wow, that shouldn't have happened, and that's stupid, and that's really fun. Like, some of our hardcore fans are smart enough to know that some of the things that happen are stupid, and it's very funny to them. And like, there's some entertainment value in that. But like, I think the LCK has always been sold as amazing elite region. And when I'm watching Rise Group right now, I'm like, I know that the same level of teams of the LEC would not win against our Rise Group teams, but the lines feel like they're getting a little bit blurry, and I don't know. There's something about like these games that make it hard to say like all 10 players in the game are playing amazing League of Legends, and I'm not sure what it is about it right now that makes it different than when if they played against each other last year in summer. Just in general, it just doesn't feel the same. It feels like I'm watching, and maybe it's because D Plus and DNF exist, and like frankly they seem to be the worst teams to commentate right now. Then you have DRX, who's like one player and then four people like trying their best to like do whatever he needs. Teddy, yes, yes. I see. Oh shit, Teddy, you don't have your third item yet. Hold on, let's slow it down, and let me just clear all the vision for you, and we'll clear that mid wave, and eventually we'll get there, and surely we'll engage, and you will clean it up, right? Yeah, like I legit really meant it yesterday when I said, when I was watching that first game, D plus DNF, like, this is not even like D plus DNF. This is D plus into a really easy to execute dive comp that literally anyone could play. And like, it's like, do they mess it up or not? They almost messed it up. I'm like, man, like, how do we know that that's how it's gonna be? Like, how do I know that like dGon like is watching as well, going, how do we know that like they might mess it up, and like it's not gonna be like, yes, D plus. I think they're the better team. They have the stronger draft. I think they should be able to finesse this. So they just kind of run into it and die and almost lose the game. Like, how does that happen? How are we watching a team that's 2 and 21, or now 2 and 22, like go toe to toe with a best group the best team in the Rise group, and because they're kind of running it down? Like, that's weird. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's normal, dGon. I think we can acknowledge I don't think it's normal.
I think it's just how competitive the Rise group is, Wolf, obviously.
Yes.
That's sarcasm, by the way. Hopefully that gets translated as sarcastic. And obviously, you also haven't. Have you seen Jackie's flanking Oriana over at Giantex? If you haven't, go watch that, and then you can come back and say, "Oh, the Rise group actually looks pretty good." Wolf, I'm telling you, we're okay. We're okay. The mid group of the LEC, they're the bottom of the Rise group. Give me DN Automotive Freaks over that. So,
LEC catching strays. Damn, dGon.
Yeah. You brought them up. I just brought the receipts.
I said the lines were blurred, and dGon was like, "Hell no, they're not. Those guys are trash."
You know what I would like if there was an amalgamation of things? I would love to bring some of the coaches from that region to some of the bottom teams here. I brought up Giant X, but like Giotto is a great coach. And I think that to me would be the fascinating part of like, hey, could Western infrastructure, Western coaching infrastructure work with way more talented players, like way more higher game knowledge players? Maybe not higher game knowledge players, but definitely way more talented players. That is like the only time that happened was when Yamato came and coached Live Sandbox for that little bit of time. I think that's just an interesting concept. And when we talk about repeat mistakes by the hopeful teams, because it's not just Rise Group, it's KT with the macro play, and we're just constantly seeing Perfect getting dove by 3 to people on repeat while Cuz is doing his blue buff, and on the bottom side of the map they're not doing anything. Like there has to be something there. There has to be something there that someone could see, because all I kept thinking after that KT game was, man, KT has a ton of great examples of what to work on, and it's not like the solution is clear, but the problem and what keeps happening is very clear.
Yeah, I mean,
and
like,
it's also clear that they're not doing anything.
Like giving over Yunara and Wukong to Hana Life Esports in game 1 of a Fearless draft. Like, what? Like, how did that happen? Like, how was that allowed? How did Viper? I mean, I'm not actually surprised that Viper had 0 deaths on 8-0 and 12, because he's Viper and he's playing Yunara, and it's like, well, is anyone surprised by this? I hope not. With what we've been watching.
All right.
Like, I don't know. I don't know how we fix this, but obviously it's not happening until it's not happening this year. We're not going to fix the format in the middle of the tournament. You don't change the format in the middle of the tournament unless you adopt Fearless in the middle of the year. But we've talked about that before already. But obviously, I think there are people and teams who are probably not happy with how this is going right now. And I do think that I don't think we're going to go back to the old format. Like, that's my prediction. I don't have any inside information about that, but like we certainly could, I suppose. But I don't think we will. But I think that there will be some tweaks to the format next year. I don't know what those are going to look like. We might create a scenario where there's a little bit more cross-group play at some point. But I don't know what that looks like.
What if there was like, you swap groups after round 3 and then you swap groups after round 4? Like, it's a little bit more mobile.
That's an interesting thought. So like, for example, I assume you mean like basically you take the round 3 results, although they're tiny.
Yep.
And say like, all right, like the 2-0 teams play against each other, the 1-1 teams play against each other, the 0-2 teams play against each other, something like that.
No, I was saying more like the bottom 2 teams of Legend Group move down to Rise Group for round 4, and then the top 2 teams for Rise Group move up to Legend Group for round 4.
So
something like that, or maybe it's just the bottom team. It's just one.
Well, wouldn't it just mostly stay the same if you don't only count the Rise, only count the round 3 results, which would be like, it wouldn't be 0-2, but it'd be like, there'd be a 0-3 team. Like, I think each team would have played like 4 games, I guess. Right at that point. Yeah. So
so
it'd be a very small amount of data.
4 and 1-3 team move down, and your 3-1. Well, that's the thing in Rise Group. it would be tiebreakers. Like if we took it now, right? Because we have 3, 4, and 2 teams. So it's like, oh wow, between those teams, if they wanted to move up and get better stage games, they would need to really care about their game score. And in that case, it would have been.
I do think when you say this, I'm like, it does sound like am I more excited for Hanwha versus Nongshim? Hell no, I'm not. No one's excited for that right now. Or am I excited for the potential? Like if you told me I could watch Nongshim versus BNK, I'd be like, oh shit, that sounds pretty cool right now. I'm down for that. Like, or KT versus BNK. I'm not using D+ in this case because I don't think they would win those games. But like BNK in really good form right now, and KT and Nongshim with some question marks. That sounds like a banger game. And so, I mean, that's not a bad idea. I think it adds a lot of complexity and a lot of potential confusion to the fans. But
yeah,
right now the fans are not confused. It's because they know what they're going to get, which is on one side, like insanely one-sided games. On the other side, like
culture, baby.
Culture, yeah. Which is confusing, I guess. But I don't know. I think we've discussed this a lot. I think we should probably move on. There's a lot of stuff to hit in terms of individual teams and stuff. But
yeah,
I think there's an overall feeling across both the global and the Korean side that the format needs work. And I think there's also an agreement that nobody really knows the best way to fix it. But we're starting to kind of like bring this up and discuss it because it's good to brainstorm ideas now and concepts for the future.
Yeah. Also, we're halfway through the summer split. I think we've now given it a good shake. We know what it's like. It feels like some of these matchups are coming up pretty quickly, and we have clear bottom feeders in both groups. So which I think it was bound to happen. However, it just seems like there's no hope for upsets for the Legend Group teams. Yeah. You said there might be confusion if we changed up the format. However, if you are stinky and you need a solution to try and fix things up, there's no confusion about what the best product would be. It would be our friends over at Mando, where they were creating a product who saw firsthand how normal body odor was being misdiagnosed and mistreated, and is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. They have multiple different products: the solid deodorant stick, the spray deodorant, which are aluminum free and ideal for hard to reach places. It's formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. And all products are baking soda free and paraben free with multiple different scents like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. And it's so easy to use when you're on the go, on the run, just like Wolf. He says it all the time, but he lives it too. It does live within his bag. After a cast, you can catch him putting on some Mando.
Yeah, that's right. Or sometimes in the break between series, man, it gets hot in there. It's August. Okay, look, there's still a little bit of summer left, depending on where you are. But in Korea, sometimes August can be, especially the beginning of August, one of the worst and hottest times, and then it kind of tapers off. So get it now before like you miss your window for really the sweaty part of the year. But you don't have to just use it, of course, in the summer. Be useful anywhere you are where you sweat, which can not only be from the sun, but can be because you're nervous, you're stressed out, and you're having a tough time, or you're working out. Regardless of whether it's winter or not, you're in the gym, you're on the treadmill, and you never know who you're going to see right after you get out. So stay fresh, don't be stinky.
That's right. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers that don't want to be stinky. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And as a special offer for listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide using our code Monte Wolf. Use the code Monte Wolf at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show. Let them know that we sent you. Mando's got you covered. Protect your pits. Smell great doing it. Don't be stinky. Get yourself some Mando. Thanks to our friends over at Mando. All right, we had one marquee matchup from the Legend group this week. It was GenG versus T1. So, Wolf, going into it, we also knew it was the only marquee matchup of the week. So there was like extra intensity going into the game. And I'll let you pick it up from there.
I mean, we knew that this was going to be a series that could be awesome, right? Like it could be a banger, it could deliver in a big way. And it went to 3 games. So if you just saw the results, if you were like, I'm going to watch a VOD, like I don't care that much about results spoilers. I just can't wait to watch some good League of Legends. You saw like, wow, went 3 games. You're probably like, there's a lot of great high level content, some back and forth action. Because man, when I think about T1 GenG, I think about it's one of the only matchups we've had sometimes in regular season. Like we've had a few of these, like when you think about GenG versus Damwon or GenG D+, like that's often been quite a banger over the years. We're like, oh, I see that in the schedule. I'm marking that one. I'm watching live no matter what. I'm staying up for that one. You know, those are the kind of games where you're like, it's going to be back and forth. It might ultimately be decided on a really cool Baron turn from a team, something like that, you know? And T1 games have always kind of been like that, where it's like, oh, T1's behind, but they sneak a Baron, you know, like they make a perfect macro play, or Faker baits them in a side lane, they turn it around, or they try and they fail, right? GenG outplay them. You know, GenG have often had the stronger mid laner, right, with Chovy over Faker, and so that's been kind of an edge, but maybe Faker shot calling gets them through. It's like one of those matchups where you have very different styles between these two teams, but they're both insanely good at macro. They're both insanely good at team fighting. I think when you hype up GenG T1, there's all these things you think about, all these intricacies, like will T1 drop third Drake to make a cool play where they get in, or you know, are they going to sacrifice that to get Baron controlled, and they're going to look for a quick Baron sneak, and then GenG barely finds out in time, and T1 looks for the turn, but actually like they get out clutched by a play from Canyon, like he gets in there, gets the steal, something like that. You know, you think about all these things, all these possibilities, which we've seen so many times for T1 GenG. But right now, both of these teams are so fucking good, dGon, that like we actually instead see T1 get like just a little bit ahead with their Bard Jhin comp. They play all the time. They keep winning with, they have a counter pick for the Gwen. Like Doran has the Aurora into that. And then it's just like, well, see you in game 2. And that's the end of the story. It was, when you look at like the kills, it was a 19-2 kill game.
It was brutal, man.
Kills were at the end because it was just T1 saying you can't be anywhere near any objective, you can't farm, you can't have turrets. GG.
Yeah, it was very one-sided, but also T1 was ready for every early and mid-game counterpunch that GenG had. Whether it was the ganks, whether like Canyon tried to gank behind Guma and Keria. They outplay the Duro engage. They then tempered fate the gank around the bottom side, which meant T1 had all the agency to go make a play on the other side of the map. You had the Realm Warp that Faker pulled off down on the bottom side of the map, brought multiple different members there to dive onto Chovy. It was just like, oh, wow, this is Worlds Form T1. And then they team fought with that lead they had. I think it was only like 2,000 gold. And then just outhands them. And it's like, oh, it's a complete win. They're playing the micro. They're playing the macro. They're playing the team fights better. What are GenG going to do? This is supposed to be the greatest team in the world that maybe ever existed.
It's crazy because like you do make great points that, you know, if you just listen to what I said about the macro control of the early game, the Gwen that can't play the game, it made it seem like GenG couldn't actually ever do anything, and they just kind of fell over and died. GenG made some really good plays, and then they just got outplayed by like Keria being like, hold on, like I think there's actually this crazy angle where I walk forward and tempered fate myself. And then we like have this insane follow-up. And like there were moments where Keria in that game just was like, wait, no one in the world, like literally no one in the world can see this crazy angle I have but me. And then when you and like it's crazy when you watch Keria make some of those plays with tempered fate, you're like your first reaction is like I don't know. And then you just see like everyone on T1 knows exactly what to do in that moment, and they follow up. like when you watch T1 comms, we talk about this all the time, but when you watch T1 comms, like sometimes they'll get the comm where it's Faker's like, I think we do Baron here, or like like it'll be Guma being like, hey, cover me, because like someone's trying to kill him or whatever. But you never hear the comms or carriers like, I'm gonna Tempered Fate follow up on this. Like it's just like it's unspoken, it's unsaid, right? In those moments, most of the time for T1, because they just are so crisp. And like it's like what teams like DNF and D plus watch and go, how do they do it? Like we can't even make a simple Vicomp work. Like how is Keria just like warping an entire fight with a Bard ultimate, and then Doran shows up perfectly, drops heal. It's just that's the kind of team fighting that you know both these teams have, and so why even though GenG make every right decision, like they can't do it because T1's like, no, I have this insane situation, I have this insane setup where like we can break the game also, and you guys can't get back in. I remember casting that game and glazing so hard on T1 in the first game.
You guys said it out loud. Isn't you're like, we are glazing, and the chat broke, and I was like, are we I guess we're allowed to say it when it's accurate, and if you are dominating the best team in the world, we're gonna that's a glazable moment.
Yeah, they just won't let them in. Like they had nothing. And after that, because I was talking to Valdez like between games and before the games, being like, I hope it's 3 games, but a lot of people thought GenG was going to 2-0. A lot of people thought T1 were going to 2-0 because T1's form was looking actually higher. And after game 1, I was like, damn, I guess the T1 Predators were right. I guess it might be a quick 2-0 day. GenG's draft read was a little bit weird. But then we had 2 more one-sided games, dGon, where we went into game 2. Ruler gets Yunara.
Well, it started good.
The Wukong is gone. The Jarvan is not enough, but the Guma Lucian Electrocute, maybe that'll be enough. And then we were watching the laning phase, and we're like, damn, I guess it just is enough. You know, we weren't sold, Valdez and I, when we saw the draft. We're like, Lucian Nami in 2025, Electrocute Lucian, can he get enough of a lead? And the answer was yes. Until Duro fake recalls, catches them, they lose all the tempo. And then Ruler takes over the game, crushes Guma in the bottom lane, and then crushes him in the mid lane, and then gets 11 kills and cleans up the entire game. And T1's draft is an all-in, where they're like, okay, we have a ball carrier in Jarvan. The whole thing is we kill Ruler. We put Ruler down early. He can't play the game. I kept saying on the cast, like, the plane's never going to take off. And then Duro gave the plane, like, he, like, pulled the choke switch, you know, the plane started and flew away. And, like, you're playing Electrocute Lucian, so, and you're behind, so they couldn't win the game. And like T1 had some cool moments. They kept setting traps, right? They kept trying to be like, aha, like we're in the bush, and like maybe GenG will be a little bit greedy. You know, maybe they'll mess it up. Maybe they won't check. And there were some attempted fights where Guma got some damage done, right? Like there's a fight I'm thinking of on the blue buff on the top of the map where they almost kind of did a thing, and then Jovi had, you know, he's Galio, he had that really cool flash play as well. It's T1 again, just like GenG in game 1, like had some valiant attempts given the situation. Like they played it really well, like they did not just roll over and die. Like they made almost every right choice, but it was still incredible one side, because that's the level of play these two teams are at right now, where if you get an edge, you turn into a bigger edge, you turn into this massive lead, and the other team is still God tier, by the way, and still knows exactly what to do. But GenG also was like, yeah, that's what I'd do if I were you. I know what's going on. I outplay this. Yeah. And it was boring games, like kind of like actually game 2 was kind of interesting because you're like, oh, actually maybe Guma could do it. Oh, wait, there's a play. Oh, there's a turnaround. Now Rule is relevant. But it was cool in that if you watch these two teams, if you're a fan of either of these two teams, you're like, damn, like my team is so good. Like, you know, like look at how dominant we can be. We won't give them even like 1% of a chance to come back.
I think I disagree with the fact that it was boring games, because the way that I look at these matches now, for everyone except Bro and DRX, yeah, Even BNK4X is safe now. These are all just opportunities to learn. And although these ended up being blowout games, like what you said, the teams that were behind, so GenG in game 1, T1 in game 2, they showed a great playbook on plays that you can do when you are behind to get back ahead. And it was just that. And also, it showed when you were ahead, here's what you need to be aware of. Here's where the trap is. The only one that, not the only one, but the main one that was the talking point and the sticking point was Guma, who had the lead in the lane, getting caught out by the fake recall by Duro, and then the subsequent play after that to try and fix it down on the bottom side of the map. Owner goes in on the Jarvan. Canyon's there. They're able to link up the damage together, Duro and Ruler. Like, it was like that team fight was awesome. Like, I feel like even though it was a blowout, I remember the punches and counter punches for these teams more so than, you know, a close Rise group. It tickles a different part of the entertainment brain.
Sure. Say. Yeah, no, it is different. Like, it is like watching, I don't know, if you're watching like Go and you're like, oh man, like you could see the moment where like it's over and the other guy's like kind of like, I just don't know if I can come back, and the other guy like just keeps putting down the tiles, right? And it's like, okay, well, it's gonna take a while, but we know like it's pretty donezo. Same thing you could say for chess or like even like StarCraft, you know, like StarCraft always ends up being like there's a breaking point, then the other guy tries to like, you know, harass or do drops or like try to look for a flank angle to try to like get back into the game. But like if played perfectly, the guy who has the advantage or has more money, like has at the third base like he got away with, like he eventually will overpower you and you can know. And like it's cool when there's a comeback or somebody like messes up his Mutamicro, or like there's a crazy irradiate, or there's like a Psy Storm and it's like, oh, he didn't know, or the guy who's behind ends up getting a Widow Mine drop off and killing a whole probe line or something like that. You know, but in this game, like T1 was doing all of that basically. And it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work this time.
So yeah, it's cool though, like that T1, some of their draft issues got a little bit exposed as well. The fact that Ruler gets the Yunara in this situation, when they don't have a Wukong to answer it, I think it was a little bit earlier on the week, right? People weren't 100% sold on Yunara yet. Like there were a lot of different opinions going around on this patch about how she was going to look. And then T1 also trying to run the Nocturne comp with Baker pulling out the Silas, which didn't work. Chovy's flex of the Corki, which was really cool. Like I thought that was a really big outdraft by GenG in game 3. And I'm not to say that T1 is a bad drafting team in general right now. I don't think that's true. I think they're really smart, and I think they have some really good reads. They didn't expect the Ziggs to come out and the Corki swap, because now you're playing Xayah into Ziggs, which is kind of unplayable. And then the Corki is a pretty solid matchup into the Silas, and it's one of Jovi's best champs, right? So it was just a really cool draft read from GenG. They piloted it well. And sometimes you can fall into these traps. So I thought that part was also like, yeah, it was a one-sided game. We know what to expect. Like, you know, in the cast, you're like, well, Ziggs out ranges Xayah, and this is like probably what's going to happen. But still, it was cool to see those moments where Chovy's like, nah, hold on, I'll play Corki.
Yeah, it's just a small wrinkle. Not every draft edge is a gigabrain pocket pick that comes out of nowhere. Something simple of like, hey, what ults does Silas not want to steal? And we were in the back trying to figure it out. Is it Zoe? I guess you could play Zoe, but it's not. You would die to Nocturne. You know, what was left? Akali, Ahri. We still haven't seen a Lissandra, but Lissandra, like, you know, you're giving over a game-breaking ult to Silas. So this small wrinkle, Ruler's flexibility, Chovy's flexibility in terms of champ pool, it just is a small edge that you need to get there. And yeah, like it was just a cool moment. Again, just it doesn't have to be the Giga Brain, no one saw this coming kind of pick. It can just be something small like that gets you past a aggressive early game into where you can function and be comfortable later on. So
and the gameplay was good. Like it wasn't like GenG won because they had Ziggs and they just didn't even play well. You know what I mean? Like they played really well. But that's the thing about both of these teams. If you get that draft edge, even it's like, oh, this is really hard for T1. Like what can they possibly do? Like and they played well, but it still ended up being a one-sided game.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. I mean, I think the big takeaway for me about these two teams is I don't think any team is going to get close to them anytime soon. Like Hanwha, I think is still significantly behind. And like we talked about Hanwha on this show a lot about how it's like eventually they'll kind of get figured out, and now it's just the Viper show only, which has been what we've seen from Hanwha in the past when they're in third place. You know, it kind of felt like when Hanwha was making that run through summer last year that it was the Viper show only as well. And then eventually, everybody else stepped up. Zeka insanely stepped up, right? And then Zeka got his, Game 5 mantra and all that happened. But like, maybe he'll have another step up right now. But I just don't see Hanwha beating either of these two teams. They're just way out in front. They're way ahead. And it's really cool to see that these teams are both so good that they can even smash each other. Like in these one-sided fashion. So it makes me excited to see what happens at Worlds, right? Like that's really what I'm getting at is like, can anyone stop these teams at Worlds? Maybe AL doesn't beat T1 this time. Like T1 looks way stronger now than they did both at MSI and at EWC.
Yeah. Let's just for a little bit dive into Hanwha, just because they did get the 2-0 week. They did join in to T1 and GenG making mixtapes out of KT and Nongshim this week. That was their week. They had the easy week. I want to know why, like D plus and like who else did I say? Like D plus and like Nongshim. They've become simpler, right? They have become the all right, well, Viper will bail us out, and Zeus is going to create pressure. Viper will bail us out kind of team. Like game 1 against Nongshim, I think Zeka and Peanut had a little bit of resurgence there, but this week was stamped by it is the Viper team, Viper Life Esports. That's what we're going with, and that'll get us at least to Worlds. But it felt like before you could play through the pressure that Zeus was creating. I feel like he's still creating the same pressure, but the team's not ready to follow up on it. And in wins, he has like stat lines like this 3, 6, and 7 Rumble game. Like I don't know what they should do to fix it. It's either, hey, start playing around Zeus's pressure more and focus more on the top side, or Zeus stop doing that. Like, and maybe they kind of tried that earlier this week because he did play Ornn in a game 1, but it was against Perfect, and
he also didn't look
KT
great on it. My read is that when Peanut is underperforming a little bit, like we can see this, track this all the way back to Road to MSI, the way that Zeka and Zeus play just ends up looking, it just doesn't work as well, right? Because they were normally supported by Peanut so well, because Peanut's been a jungler who knows how to use a winning top lane and just remove someone like Perfect from the game entirely, right? Like, and just be like, no, well, Zeus wins this, and now I'm going to dive you over and over and over again. And if the enemy jungler tries to come help, I'm going to actually like go into his jungle and take everything that belongs to him, or stop him even from getting to the turret. I'm going to look for a crazy play to try to find him with Zeus in the jungle. We're going to 2v1 him, and then Perfect's like, well, I'm just trying to catch this wave. Like that's the kind of oppressive jungler that Peanut has been at the peaks of his career, which have been, again, like multiple times, have been on so many teams and won so much and achieved so much. But he's not finding those types of aggressive angles as much anymore. And like now sometimes Zeus is like pushing up like he normally would, and Peanut will be there, but he gets skanked. Or, okay, Zeus is like, let's set up this dive. I'm crashing a wave. And then Peanut messes up the turret aggro and the dive fails. And you're like, oh, now the jungler on the other side of the map is getting value, and we messed up the dive. And then Zeus doesn't have the massive lead that he had before. And It's a similar story with Zeka, because Zeka Peanut was another way that they were able to often play through Zeka's prio and then affect the top lane, play through Zeus, or get Viper ahead, or just stack objectives. So I do think that Zeka is not playing horribly or anything like that. It's not like Zeka quirky times where we're like, oh man, this guy just has no idea what's going on. Like, what's he doing with that package? It's not like that. It's not like he's having a bad tournament, but he isn't alone able to make up for, I think, the missing pieces of that top side that isn't working as well as it should, and I think probably will eventually again work well. Like, I think eventually they'll figure out some of the peanut woes. But what really comes down to me is like how this team has functioned when they're not massively ahead is we show up to a 5v5 fight. Hanwha don't have all the vision, they don't have all the angles tracked. But Delight's just like, I see this angle, I see them, I'm going in. He gets an engage that's good enough. Zeka and Zeus follow up, and then Viper can't be touched, and he cleans up the fight. And that's like how it happens almost every time. But these days, it's almost been even like Zeus is going in, he dies first. Peanut's like, I ulted the wrong person. The Viper's like, I've got my Psalms, I think I can carry this. I will perfectly space. I will flash at the exact right moment. I will catch the exact right person that needs to be killed, and we'll win this fight anyways. And like, Delight's not playing badly by any means, but I do think that Viper is doing everything in these games now, and the impact of Zeus and Zeka is way smaller than it normally is. Like before, it felt like Hanwha has Viper, and that's a really cool backup plan. Like, he's going to just be an 80 carry in the fight, and he's going to clean up, but Zeus and Zeka are doing a ton of work with Peanut, also having such an advantage that he can find the perfect engage, and Viper is there, and he does some damage, and now it's like, Viper just has to put the carry pants on every game, but guess what? It's good enough because Viper is our best 80 carry. Like, I think he's better than Ruler. I think he's better than Guma. Like, I'm gonna say it. I think he's the best performing 80 carry right now, especially when you consider how many tough situations he's been pushed into, and he's performed incredibly well. You could disagree with me if you want, YouTube comments, but and that's fine, because I think it's not a fact. It's my strong opinion based on how much heavy lifting I think Viper's done. You can look at results and say, like, results-wise and some of the cool stuff Guma and Ruler have done, like, maybe they're better than Viper in your opinion because your metrics are different. But I just think Viper has done way more game-saving plays, and the team is so reliant on him. He's way more important to Hanwha because Delight's not going to make that crazy Bard play that Keria made, you know what I mean? Than Guma is to T1, for example. So this becomes a thing where for Hanwha, it's very predictable, and maybe you could just draft it around trying to kill Viper first, or just lock his champion pool down to where it's hard for him to carry, and maybe Hanwha could struggle. I'm worried that because Viper is so good, this actually becomes a liability. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what I realized that we have completely gone away from? It was a conversation that we were talking about a lot when Fearless was coming in that would work in this situation. Remember, it's like, okay, we're going to play best of 3. We know what their best plan is. We're on red side, so we're probably going to lose this game anyways. Time to ban out and play 580 carries. Let's just get rid of the marksman pool, man. You have matches. You have them, KT. You have them, Nongshim. You only have to beat each other. So do this stuff. Do this stuff, because what you're doing right now isn't working, and it's pathetic.
I mean, the problem is that, like, I think KT are not good enough to beat Hanwha, even if Viper has to play like a really weird 80 carry.
Twitch!
By the way, he's Viper, and he played Teemo, and he has a massive champion pool, so it's hard to lock this guy out. But it might be like putting him on a champ that is harder to carry on, but then KT can't get close enough to threaten Hanwha to where Viper has to hard carry the same way he would in another matchup, so it doesn't necessarily matter. I like the idea. I like where you're going with it, dGon. I just don't know if it's going to work. And then, when you go into the other matchups against T1 and GenG, it's just not necessarily close enough to matter. Like, Viper can't carry it.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, just try,
I know.
Because like, imagine if you're drafting, right? Like, you are Dandy. You're Dandy. And all of a sudden you see, like, what AD carries will we get rid of? Kai'Sa, like, and I'm blue side. So we get rid of Kai'Sa. All right, Kai'Sa gone. All right, let's get rid of Jhin. All right, Jin's gone. And then what else?
Let me look at Viper's champion pool this tournament so far. It actually would probably surprise a lot of people what his number one pick is. Well, he has two that are tied, but his number one is actually Lucian, but he's 1 and 2 on the pick. Did not work out for him, really. His Kai'Sa has been insane. That's his other 3 games. And then he has split between the rest of his games. 2 games of Sivir, 2 games of Varus. It's crazy. How did Viper get 2 games of Varus? Like, how was that allowed? Isaiah is 2, and then it goes 1 game of Jhin, 1 game of Ezra, 1 game of Corki, 1 game of Santa, 1 game of Inara, right? So he's played a pretty wide pool there. Obviously, a lot of these picks are quite situational. Like, you wouldn't want to play Ezreal into most drafts right now in this meta unless you're playing into hard dive. Senna, similar situation. Like, I think Senna's fallen off quite a bit. It's a little bit tough to play that. You can't play Yunara if they have hard engage either, right? So there's some picks in here that I'm like, yeah, if Viper's on it, it's hard to carry. But if you do focus him, is Zeka going to pick up the slack? Right now, I don't.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't feel like it.
And maybe you distract Dandy by banning out all these AD carries, and you're like, what? And then you can slide something in. There has to be some sort of strategy, man. There has to be some sort of strategy, just because what they're doing isn't working, and let's just try it. No one in the world. No, sorry. I think one team did do the multi-ban out of a marksman role. But other than that, no one's tried it here in the LCK. And we have, and maybe that's part of the reason why we are the LCK. Everyone's going to try hard. But can we like go to the point where we're thinking it's so brilliant? Is it crazy? Or is it so crazy that it's brilliant? You know, like, come on, guys.
I do think that maybe if Hanwha step up on their top side of the map a little bit, like, and go up like 15%. Like, I'm not even saying they need to be twice as good as they are now. I mean, it's just a little small advantage like that they could have. Like, if they just overperform like 15%, then maybe they could actually beat T1 or GenG. We saw a close game between T1 and GenG right after EWC, right? Yeah. I don't remember if any other the games in particular were like super close that I'm not remembering, because I really just don't think they were. I think they were pretty one-sided series. So we'll see. I mean, the thing for Hanwha is you're very safe right now to get into playoffs and be the third best team. At worst case scenario, you might drop to third. Like, that's the trajectory that you're most worried about. But you're going to playoffs. You're going to be playing some best of fives, and maybe that's where some of these draft things become a bigger issue for Hanwha. But it also could be that the meta changes when we move to a new patch, and it ends up being a meta that's better for Zeka. And that's when Hanwha usually wins, is when Peanut and Zeka are playing the best. Because Zeus is, like, in my opinion, like, Zeus, by the way, like, second place in Palm this season, behind Chovy. He's tied with BDD, I think, now. But, like, he's second place in Palm, has had an amazing year. I think people are weirdly like trying to say Zeus is bad now because he and Peanut messed up a few dives.
Yes.
I think Zeus is still super solid. It's Zeka is not the problem. It's just like Zeka's not making the same impact. Peanut's not looking as good. If Zeka is on point, man, when Zeka's playing his best, like, this team actually just transforms into this insane monster. It's like a 5-headed dragon when Zeka and Peanut are actually playing well, but like 2 of the heads are asleep right now is what it feels like. And because like now Viper is like, well, you can play through me and I'll carry, but what if you could also play through Zeka, but also play through Zeus? And Peanut is like, whatever lane is winning, I'm the best jungler at actually getting massive leads out of this, which has been his whole thing for the last few years. I know Hanwha could actually win the LCK. Is what I'm telling you guys. Like, they could do it, but on this patch and in this form, they won't. So something has to change.
Yeah. And my point earlier about Zeus needing, having some tough score lines and whatnot, I think what I wanted to get across was he hasn't changed. He's still playing the same. The team just isn't playing the same way around him.
100% agree. 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree.
All right. Well, one thing we can 100% agree on is that there are more variety and more meals that you guys at home can get from our friends over at Factor, which help you between your busy schedules and summer plans. And now with more than 65 weekly meals made for how you live, there's even more ways to fit in a real meal wherever the day takes you. Now you can enjoy your wellness goals, which include some GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good for you fats. And you, for the first time ever, you can try Asian inspired meals with bold flavors influenced by China, Thailand, and more. And for more choices to better nutrition, that's why 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life, where you can feel the difference no matter what your routine is. Now, Factor is so delicious, so good, gets delivered straight to your door in packages, in the cold packages you throw into the fridge. Then afterwards, put it straight into the microwave. 2 minutes, you're done. Tastes delicious. It was so great to use. I love using it. Now you can go ahead and crush your fitness goals by heading on over to factormeals.com/MonteWolf50off and use the code MonteWolf50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's MonteWolf50off at factormeals.com for 50% off plus free shipping. Get delicious ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Boom. All right. Thanks to our friends over at Factor Meals for making that happen. Go check them out. All right. Time to close it on off here with some sad talk, Wolf.
Yeah, just a little sad talk. Not a lot of sad talking. I'm hoping, like, not a lot of bro conversation here.
All right.
Let's get the bro. Let's all
right. Okay.
Let's not go off on a bro tangent. All right.
I was gonna be like, it's sad talk, but with a positive, warm feeling to it. Now, if you all listened last week, you remembered that the dGon follow along segment was, hey guys, go to the moment where the bros came back against DN Automotive Freaks and pause there, and we had those two fans, and we're like, hey, if you're two fans there, check out if you're listening. So this week, in the win and also in the early game lead they amassed here against D plus Kia, the same two fans were there and were happy and cheering, sitting in the same seats. And I got the photo. So I just wanted to shout them out because win or lose, those two fans showed up and supported their team. And I'm glad that they got the spotlight they deserved in successful moments as well. So, but not as successful were the DN Automotive Freaks. They did get an upset. They did get the win. We did pull up. I did go against the grain with my boy Go, who was a knower. And they were able to defeat DRX. Oh, man. DRX are they're having a tough go of it right now. But they did end up losing to D plus in two winning states here, Wolf, yesterday. The DN Automotive Freaks, they are eliminated. Just quick thoughts and final thoughts on them before we go back to the rest of the Rise group.
I'm not surprised that they lost.
I feel like you're struggling really hard to put it into words.
After watching D plus like the last few weeks, I kind of expected the series to go something like this. Like, I'm not saying it was impossible for DNF to win. I expected them to lose, but we knew they were eventually going to lose, right? And then they were going to get knocked out. So I'm not surprised that they're eliminated is really what I'm getting at. Yeah. In fact, we all expected this. Like, they're 2 and 20 some odd team, right? They're not going to be there. Like, if they're in our playoffs or play-ins, there's a problem with the format, right? This team just they haven't earned it, right?
Yeah.
What is sad though is that at the end they kind of almost got it together a little bit. At the end they started to look a little bit better. And there's still obviously a whole round and a half left to be played. So they're going to have some more opportunities to potentially win more games, but it isn't playing for anything. What I'm curious about now is that if the pressure is off, do they play better? We'll see. I'm gonna guess probably no, and they'll probably be similar because I think the pressure's probably been off for a while. If I'm honest with you, dGon, but we'll see if this team can look better. My personal shout out of these 5 players is Pioshik. I think he's had some really good games. He's had some really good early games. He's had some great objective fights.
Big steals.
He has
yesterday.
Yeah, he has put it all on the line in these team fights around objectives to make a crazy risky play, and he's come up heads quite a lot. So, we talked about like if you were going to rebuild this team, like which star do you keep, and like what do you do? And we were like, maybe it's Pioshik. I don't know. A lot of people are probably watching like going like, I don't know, Wolf, but I think Pioshik definitely earned that title in the loss against D+ yesterday. So hopefully he can land on his feet. Hopefully this team still have fans coming out for them every week, despite the plans being no longer in reach. I think they will. I hope that they can play spoiler. I think it'll be really funny if they like beat D+ next time and drag them down and like help B and K get first place in the Rise group or something like that. I don't think that's going to happen, but they have their own kind of little funny role to play now. I'm not sad for them dropping the play-ins because we knew it was going to happen, and like it's where they belong, is not in play-ins, sadly. So
yeah. And then just to give the shout outs over to one more comment. The ideal Exodus roster for DNF next year by Mandude123Go9. Photon, Kanavi, Saint Henna, Kyle. That just sounds like, hey, give me the best guys that aren't in LCK right now. Not, hey, like Kanavi is just gonna come here. All right, like all right.
I mean, that's a pretty banger roster in that guy. Like, shout out to that guy. Like, if you had all the money, and you wanted to get available players, because we were talking about who's available and stuff, I actually do think that roster would do well, and it's cool that he was able to find like 5 players that could potentially be available and make that team. So yeah, shout outs to, what was it, Dude Man Guy?
Yep, Dude Man Guy. That
Dude Man, thanks, Dude Man Guy. I like where you Dude Man Guy's doing some investigation, man. He's searching high and low for some Korean Exodus players that could come back. Like, Dude Man Guy is on it. Dude Man Guy wants DNF to succeed. Be like Dude Man Guy.
Yeah, Dude Man Guy. DMG for DNF. All right, let's go to the rest of the Rise group teams. As halfway through, starting to get a little bit closer. The Bros, they lose their big matchup to BNK FearX earlier in the week. So then they were stressed out with the date against DRX. They're able to pull that one out. DRX, it's just so painful. Like, I felt like they had it figured out. They were going to be the UCal Lazy Field team. They decided on support, and we'll move forward from there. But it just hasn't. It hasn't panned out for DRX. And I wonder if, like, do you make another change? Yehu out, UCal in, and stick with Teddy? Because it feels like they at least have the clear win condition with Teddy. They have the clear identity with Teddy. And it can work if it gets to late, but it's just all these conditions. It's all these conditions right now.
It's so similar to Hanwha, where they like have a lot of problems saying I'm on objectives, blah 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 blah, right? Like all the things we talked about earlier. I'm about to rehash, and they're like, but Teddy can carry. The thing is, like, Hanwha has Zeus, okay? You have Rich. Hanwha has Zeka. You have Yehu. Hanwha has Peanut. You have Sponge. So, like, it's a little bit tougher to play through Teddy when, like, Rich is trying to flank, or like he's not on the same page as his teammates, or he's like 0-3 and got bopped in lane, which happens a lot for him. Man, Rich had like remember in what was it, like round 2 before we had the split? I was like, oh man, Rich is having a few games. He's kind of gaming a little bit. Feels like that was a long time ago right now. He is not really gaming at the moment, unfortunately. And I say that as probably Rich's number 1 fan. He is not having the games of his career at the moment, so he's not able to change things. Yeo has had some good games where I'm like, okay, nice, impressive, yeah. And then there have otherwise been games where he's not bad. Like, he's not having, I'm not like, Rich has had bad games where I'm like, this is, your team lost because you had a really rough laning phase and you couldn't do anything. Yeo's not usually having games like that, but he's having games where he's somewhat invisible. Yeah, it's really Andil. It's really Andil who's kind of like making some big plays with Sponge every now and then to get Teddy to a position to carry. Like Ando's also had bad games, by the way, but he's often been the guy where I'm like, oh, nice, great Ando game, and now Teddy can pick up his palm and they got a win. Nice. Well, but I think that when you play only through Teddy, and then the team coordination is poor, it's really easy to just draft a dive comp and be like, we kill Teddy, and they won't be able to peel for him because they just not good enough to do it. And then Teddy's like, I don't know, it wasn't my fault, but like there's just too many people on top of me and I'm dead and my team is all discombobulated. Like that's how I feel about DRX in a nutshell. And I was somewhat what's the word for this? I was a bit mixed on putting Teddy back in. I was like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work long term. Like, Teddy wasn't looking amazing. He had some good games, but it was a little bit predictable how they had to play with him. And then, like, Teddy had some great games, so I think a lot of people are like, yes, this is correct. Like, Teddy, 100%, like, this is the way. But eventually, I think that you kind of figure it out again. And maybe when we had LazyFeel and Yukal on this roster, there could have been some development to this team that maybe leads to something ultimately by the time we get to late round 4, round 5.
Yeah. But
instead, we were just on the Teddy hype train, which I don't think is good for the team long term. I don't think it's going to get this team any big successes. And then what happens when we go to next year? Do you rebuild around Teddy, or like does DRX have enough money to make something happen? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wish they would have stuck with it, honestly, because now if you put them in, if you put in Yukal is high ceiling, a low floor. Right, you either roll a 6 or roll a 1. With LazyFeel, I think it was the mid-game playmaking that you get that you don't get from Teddy. Teddy plays safe; he'll farm up and get to late game. He'll dish out the damage. He had the like a certifiable Zeri moment type thing, but what you're getting, and I think now is the time where you would make those moves, but given the parts that you had, I wouldn't have put them. I would have put in Teddy now. I wouldn't have made the swap earlier. I would have made the swap now. But now that you're here, I feel like you're kind of stuck with it.
LazyFeel's weakness was his laning phase for sure. Like that was his weakest part. And sometimes like he would get caught trying to farm in the late game and stuff like that. But like his laning phase was by far his worst. And it's a meta where you can't really that can't really be a thing. Like you'll just lose the game over it. Yeah. But if you believe that he could fix it and that if he had a little bit more game time, he could get past that, I think the potential for LazyFeel is he is like as good as Teddy and a little bit more multifaceted. Like, and he becomes a Diablo type. Like, I think LazyFeel's archetype is really similar to Diablo's in that he's ready to carry. He's ready to make those aggressive plays like you're talking about. But now I don't know what's going to become of him. Will we see him on this roster next year? I don't know. But I don't think you swap back to him now. Like swapping back to him at this point would be actually insane. So I think we're stuck with the. I think we're kind of stuck with the Teddy generic Green Wings. Maybe he'll carry situation. So
Teddy or bust.
Teddy or bust.
All right. Let's move on up to the Bros. They are currently in the 8th place spot. It's just where they belong. I think this is just where they belong, Wolf. They are better than DRX, but it just depends on how Palu is feeling that day. Like President Palu is driving me insane because generally in games 1, he looks like he's never played League of Legends before. And then games 2 and 3, he looks like he is using all executive branch powers to make sure that they win. It is just so mind-boggling. I'm watching the same player. What is happening?
Yeah, it's pretty inconsistent. I think Closer's also fallen a little bit. He's not having the same Closer's best individual year. Like, oh, Wolf, shut up. Like, he's not having as many of those games, but he's still solid, right? But he hasn't looked as dominant. It's really Morgan, weirdly, that has kind of stepped it up in a big way. Morgan Krako. So
Krako's been great.
Yeah, Krako is really good. So I mean, look, I do think if on Bro's best day, like they could be the best team in the Rise group. I said that when we had like the split. I remember you and I were talking about this when we were shooting the Monte Wolf in Songdo. Like, like maybe this team could be the best Rise group team. I still think they have it in them, but it's the consistency that isn't there. But like, if you just take away the round 1, round 2 results, like they are tied right in that 4-2 split. So maybe when we finish, they are the best record in the Rise group. Like that could happen. I think that's not crazy. I'm more interested in talking about BNK right now because this team is actually starting to hit their stride. Like this team is looking good like every day. They're showing up. They're looking good. Diablo's popping off, and the rest of the team is kind of leveled up. So like Clear to me was one of those players I'd written off. Like I threw it out. I was like, no, this is a Karis situation where everyone's like, no, Clear's really good. Like, did you see like his best games? Cherry pick all these really great moments for Clear. I'm like, no, man, I gave up. Like Karis. I'm like, yeah, Karis. I've seen his best games. Yeah, you showed them to me, and yeah, I saw them. I cast some of them, but he's just not there. I had written Clear off, but he's really come back quite a bit. Like I think he's actually looking pretty good right now. I think he's hit this point where I don't know what it is. Scrims are going well for him. He's feeling more confident. He's just the player that we expected him to be, or Chronicler expected him to be at least. So I'm happy for this. For BNK.
Well, I think for me it's less about Clear because we knew from last split that he can be reliable enough if the conditions are right. For me, it's Vikla. Vikla was so bad. He was the worst mid laner in the league for such a long time. And all you need out of him is a little bit of stability because you look down at the bottom lane and you have the most solo kills in the league. And probably the rookie of the year candidate if Duro isn't allowed to be a rookie of the year. Like Diablo and Count are so good. Yeah. So you just needed a little bit out of Vikla, and they're getting more than a little bit over the last 2 weeks. And so for this team to succeed, I think it's Vikla. I think it comes down to Vikla not making the head scratching mistake after he like tries to eke out one extra CS or try to go for the flash play in mid lane. Then
it's true. Like he actually has kind of been okay. He's had a few weirdly clutch plays as well. I mean, it's not happening every game, but every now and then you're like, okay, Vikla, I see you. But Vikla going from like a 1 out of 10 to like a 3.5 out of 10, IGN said like the remaster is great. This time you can get past the loading screen. Actually, sometimes that level of like of leveling up, still getting to like the 3.5 out of 10. I mean, I'm being quite harsh. Obviously, he's not a 3.5 out of 10 player, but like he went from like the reason I didn't mention him is because I still don't think he's a strong point on this roster yet, but he's less of a liability, and like that is basically what you were saying, and I think that we both agree on that. That is a big boon for this team that had this this anchor that was just weighting them down, I feel, in so many ways, and it's kind of unchained now. And maybe if Vikla starts to get his confidence back, we can see some of the Rookie of the Year Vikla plays that sent him to FlyQuest because he was really good, and everyone's like, oh, this guy's has got a lot of potential. I honestly felt like we saw that in LCK Cup, and I was telling everyone like, no, Vikla's kind of like, hold on, guys. And then the round 1, everyone's like, Wolf, what are you talking about? But maybe we're seeing it come back a little bit. To me, right now, I'm on the BNK hype train. I think they are probably more consistent than Bro, and will be more consistent than Bro in the end. And I think they're better than D+. That's why I predicted them, and they 2-0 D+. So like, I think this team might actually be the Dark Horse Rise team, so to speak, when we move into play-ins. I don't think they're going to win LCK for all the reasons we've talked about. Like, I don't think you should like write it down now. Like, hold on, Wolf thinks this team could do it all. No, but I do think they could pull ahead and be a team that actually wins games every time, every week, instead of like, it's an Elder Flip crazy Rise game. Like, maybe BNK actually start beating people decisively. Bring that average game time down. That could be this team.
Here's the angle. If you had to look at the 25 players in the Rise group. Who is the best player that has the potential? Like, who is the best player in that group? Who's the best player out of the Rise group?
It's aiming. It's like not even close to me.
It's not Diablo?
No. Okay. It's aiming.
When I brought up this thing in my head, I was like, this is aiming's the only one to
now if you took aiming away, yes, it's Diablo. Yeah, it's 100% Diablo, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, do you take aiming and barrel, or do you take Diablo and Kellen? This one you take Diablo and Kellen.
Yeah,
so
maybe
if there was a way, if there was a way to like kind of, at least they have like a win condition against, ew, this sounds weird. At least Diablo Kellen have a win condition against Viper Delight. Yeah, that sounds so weird coming out of my mouth, but it is a win condition. I don't think anyone else has a win condition.
I think Diablo has had some incredible outplays, right? And he needs to find that consistency. Aiming has had the outplays and the consistency. Diablo gets a little bit of extra hype because he's a rookie and he's incredibly young, and he's on a team that is like, on paper, we were saying was the worst team in the LCK. We're like, man, this, like when we walked into LCK 2025, we're like, that B&K roster is hopeless. Like we were like, there's no way, because we weren't impressed by Diablo that much. Yeah. Like there were some good moments we saw in challengers, but because
it was more Kellen, it was more like they got Kellen.
Yeah, also that. But like, there's been so many things stacked against him, and he just keeps delivering anyways. That like. I think that's why people are so high on him. But I do think aiming is by far the more well-rounded and consistent player. But he's a close second because it's not hype. You know what I mean? It's not Berserker right now, sadly. Like it might have been if you asked me a few months ago, but it's not right now. So I'm watching this team closely. I do think that I'm pleasantly surprised with what we've seen from them. The drafting, they won that second game against D+. They really shouldn't have, but they did. The drafting is still leaving me raising my eyebrows from time to time from Ryu, but it's overall been better than it was. So, no, I'll give him that. I think it might be Pred time, dGon.
It's Pred time. You knew. You just psychically knew what I was thinking. Let's get to it this week. How did you do last week? How did you do last week?
I think I was 9 out of 10, right? Like I didn't predict DNF to beat DRX, I don't think, but I predicted everything else. I think I went Hanwha, BNK, DRX, GenG. I predicted BNK, I predicted Hanwha, predicted Bro, pretty sure, predicted T1. Yeah, I think I went 9 out of 10 last week, which is, that's
pretty good.
The risky one was the BNK one, I guess. Like that was a tougher one. Yeah, no, I think I was 9 out of
10. Y'all at home, Wolf doesn't like it that we keep calling it the Wolf Pit. And so he's clawing his way out. He's clawing his way out.
No, I like that because like I had such a bad start this year that like you guys can keep calling it that. It's like Wolf, just because it's Wolf Pit doesn't mean Wolf has to be in there, but it's the Wolf Pit. Like I was down there for a while. I'm getting out. I don't think I'm in last place. I don't think so. I don't think I'm in last place anymore.
I think if you were a safe predictor this week, you ended up 7 and 10. And so because I got DNF, I was 8 and 10 because I got the Bros wrong. I got both BNK games wrong. That was it. Everything else we got right. All right, let's get to it. Week 13, T1 versus KT.
T1 next.
BNK FearX DNF.
I'm gonna go BNK here, even though DNF had improved a lot. Like I said, I'm pretty high on BNK at the moment. I predicted BNK to beat D+. I'm definitely gonna have to predict them to beat DNF.
Yes, and yes, I agree. GenG Nongshim D+ versus DRX. Is this the upset pick of the week?
I mean, GenG beats Nongshim, but D+ DRX.
I mean, they looked good. Showmaker zoned it at the right time.
last time D Plus did also crush DRX. It was like a Showmaker Majai's game. And I think like Shiu has been performing so poorly.
Yeah, he's been bad.
But will he lose to Rich? I don't think so. I'm gonna go D plus. I'm gonna go D plus here.
I want to believe. I can't believe they're gonna go. I don't know, 4-game losing streak. Give me DRX. Ugh, it's yucky.
I think it's not crazy. It's not a crazy pred.
It's not crazy, but it's yucky. Bro versus DNF. I'm afraid of this one on Friday. Just give me the bros. I'm sticking with it. It's the brand.
Think about this for a second. Yeah, I think Bulldog didn't have. He wasn't looking great. I think draft wise, Bros had some good reads with Duke.
Duke's been such an upgrade to the draft. You know what? I appreciate Ensign Edgar, Emperor Edgar, for his service, years of service, but the drafts make more sense here.
It seems like Duke is willing to take more risks with his players' champion pools. I'm gonna go Bro as well. I think here this is one of the tough one actually. I think this one's the toughest one so far for the Preds that we've done. But I'm gonna go Bro.
Big match of the week: Hanwha versus T1.
Give me T1.
Damn, not even a thought.
I mean, Viper might get it done like that, but I can't predict it. You know, like I can't know that Viper will just 1v9 and win the game.
Give me Hanwha. Gosh, T1 fans gonna be mad. Give me Hanwha.
How could you go Hanwha here after watching what we've seen?
Because they just had an easy 2-0-2-0 week. Because they now know that they've got to do something with the Zeus pressure that he's creating. It's also, that Zeus versus T1 thing. I
don't know. Like Doran is Zeus' father. Like I thought the DNA test results came out. Like Krug Lord, come on! Like we know, like Zeus is 50% Krug. Like, I mean, you can go Hanwha if you want. I'm going T1 here.
All right, yeah. No, you convinced me. Take me back, T1 and T1 fans. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I can't wait for dGon to be really mad at me on Friday if this doesn't go the way
I will be very mad.
We're predicting right now.
Even if the DRX win comes through, I'll be very mad.
All right, wait, hold on.
Trust the eye test.
We got a banger on Saturday.
Yeah,
it's actually Saturday Showdown as well. Nongshim versus KT.
Brother, the scriptwriters knew. Because Nongshim KT play this Saturday, and then also week 15. The last matches of the year are Nongshim KT and DRX Bro. They knew. The script writers knew. They knew what it was.
I don't this know. One is rough. I'm gonna say I think like KT won last time 2-0, right?
Yes.
But Perfect has been really hard focused. So that's kind of like the questions that are going through my mind right now is will Nongshim be able to coordinate that same punish onto Perfect?
And Kingen has looked good.
Kingen has been really good.
The most consistent player on Nongshim throughout the shellackings that have happened.
And then it's the question of BDD versus Calyx and then the 80 carry situation. I'd rather trust that in a matchup that's going to be a little bit funky like this, that Duckdom will get it done. And they'll still win, even if Perfect gets focused, because Nongshim are not a team that's good enough to necessarily capitalize on putting Perfect down early and being able to continue to pressure. Like Gideon, maybe if you asked me earlier when Gideon was having some of his top tier performances, I'd be like, yeah. But right now, I think I'm going to go KT again. I'm going to be a KT Predator.
I'll go one step further. I'll go KT as well, but I need Peter in. Like, I've seen enough of Wei. I bet Hype and Wei are great together. Separate, Hype has had a little bit more success, but Wei has just not had any traction. And again, that's partially due to the quality of opponent he's facing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was gone that week, that Peter's last week, right? But I watched all of the KT games, and maybe I don't know, maybe I wasn't linked in with everybody, but I thought Peter, especially in the telecom war where he almost was able to get KT a big enough lead to win the game. Like, sure, he was kind of like inting almost while doing it. Maybe he's just not listening. I just thought, like, when I talked to some people, like on the KR side and on the global side, they're like, "Yeah, no, Peter had a really terrible week. Like, it was time." I'm like, really? Like, I personally just didn't see it that way. But I'm surprised that he isn't, or that he was subbed out. But maybe because Wade didn't look great, maybe Peter will actually be in this week.
Yeah, bro, know. It's not Peter. Go give me casting. I can't believe they went with Peter.
Yeah, no, actually, that's another topic for another day. We probably should have hit on that earlier, but like that's something I've been talking about a little bit. Like, give him another shot.
Yeah, give him another shot. He has 3 weeks. DRX, BNK, Fear X.
DRX, BNK. BNK.
It's BNK. Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Hanwha GenG. Well, I already know what you think. Yeah, GenG, and then Bros versus D+.
This one is really hard.
Yeah. All right, hype boy. Show us what you're made of. Give me the Bros.
I'm gonna go Bro. Yeah, I'm gonna go Bro here. Yeah,
he's a Bro lever.
Yeah, no, I actually think Bro. I think Bro will get it done. It's gonna be a dumb series, and it's probably gonna go 3. But I see it. Like, Morgan is really good right now, and Shiu and Lucid are looking a little sussy. Like, hey, Morgan Croco versus Shiu. Lucid, like, I take Morgan Croco right now, man, 100%.
Actually, yeah. No,
like, actually, the more I think about it, I'm like, yeah, it's an easy Bro pred. In fact, what am I even thinking?
Palu versus Barrel, yeah, dude.
Okay, hold on. Let's hold on to the good parts, dGon. Like, we just locked in on Bro.
I mean, yeah, those were both bad parts. So, all right, boom, there it is. Our predictions are done. I flip-flopped really hard on Hanwha and T1. My girlfriend is a very big Hanwha fan, so she's not gonna be happy about that, but that's okay. I'm a professional.
What are you gonna do?
All right, man, we did it. We said it was gonna be a short episode, and it was definitely not. Again, hopefully you all at home enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and all the translations, all the comments that you guys put over on YouTube, on FM Korea. Thank you so much, and we will catch you guys next week for more Monte Wolf. Bye-bye.